Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tisha Morris if you are new, and I currently reside in Toronto, Ontario. I'm a food blogger, recipe developer, content creator. Whatever you want to call me, it's fine by me because I love good food and I love sharing that with you. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be making a great recipe. It's oxtail. But before we get into the recipe, I'm going to give you a minute to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll give you a minute. Now let's get into the video. Okay, so the star of the show, of course, is the oxtail, and that's what we'll be working with today. This recipe is very intimidating. This I know for sure because I never made oxtail until I was well into my adult years. But there's no need to be intimidated because it's actually very simple. All you need to do is prep your oxtail. First of all, go to the store and buy the oxtail. Then when you bring it home, you'll be trimming away the fat and giving it a good rinse. And then once you do that, you want to add in your veggies, your fresh veggies, your herbs, your spices, your dry seasoning. And then you're going to marinate so that the flavor can get deep into the bone of the oxtail. So then in the morning when you wake up and you're ready to get started with cooking, you're going to braise or brown your oxtail first. That locks in the flavor. I know it's not very traditional. My grandparents, great-grandparents, they weren't browning no oxtail. They were just putting it in the pot and letting the flavors talk to each other. But we're going to brown the oxtail first, and then we're going to let it slow cook, braise down, slow cook down until it's tender and falls off the bone. And then at that point, then you'll know that you are ready. So the first step is to trim away the fat and give it a good rinse. So when we're talking about trimming away the fat, this is what I'm talking about, this white part here. If you don't do that, towards the end of the recipe, when you're cooking your oxtails low and slow, the fat or the oils will rise to the surface because it melts away. And then you can always skim it off at that stage, but to skip that step, I recommend to just trim your oxtail at the front end of the recipe. I like using kitchen shears. You can also use a knife. Whatever you're comfortable with, use that. As long as you get the fat or most of the fat away or cut away, then you're good to go. For example, this piece got to go. You see? You don't want to trim it too much. You want to leave some because, of course, that is what gives a lot of flavor as well. But you don't want too much. So whatever that balance is, find it and reach there. So another tip that I have is you never want to start cooking your meat fresh out the fridge. You want to let it sit on the counter for at least 15 to 30 minutes to take the chill off, because then, I don't know why, but just do it. I should figure out why. Why do we do that? I'm gonna give these a good rinse under some cool water. You can also use vinegar, lime juice, or lemon juice. Whatever juice you use, whatever water you use, just make sure you wash your meat. On this channel, we wash our meat. I know it's a global debate whether you do or you don't, salmonella, germs, this and the third, but we're washing our meat, okay? We're washing our meat. The second part of your prep work for your oxtail is to season your meat and season it very well. Because you're cooking your oxtail for a period of time, you can't really mess this up. So even if you over season or under season or whatever, you can always adjust as you go. So we're using some red and green bell peppers. You can use whatever color you want. Some green onions, thyme, scotch bonnet, garlic, a little bit of ginger, pimento seeds or allspice berries, onions, some brown sugar, soy sauce, browning. That's a key ingredient just so you can get that brown hue that we all love. Some ketchup, but that goes in towards the end of your recipe or the cooking process. And then your dry seasoning, so some garlic and onion powder, salt, black pepper, seasoning salt, or all-purpose seasoning. I have a recipe on my blog for seasoning salt and all-purpose seasoning. So if you don't want to buy store-bought and you just want enough for the recipe, you can just head over to the blog and get the recipe there. So let's get into seasoning. No, oh, it was so freaking good until that freaking point. I'm using gloves because my mom and them smell like seasoning for the rest of the day. So You can use gloves. That's my recommendation, is to use gloves when you're seasoning your meat, and then you can just toss it away. Key. Okay, so we're starting with our fresh veggies. So again, the red peppers and the green. I dice these really small, but really and truly they're going to cook out into your dish. So there's no need to be fancy with how you're gonna cut it. You're not gonna see it at all at the end. So just toss it all in. Onions. On this little beautiful plate, I have garlic, ginger, and some pimento berries. Again, they'll all cook down. Brown sugar just went in, and then our dried seasonings. I want all of it. The browning, you can not. Some soy sauce. The ketchup is the only ingredient that we're gonna wait till the end to put in. I have the ketchup here for a visual, but we're not putting this in until towards the end of the recipe. I know some other cooks will put all of your fresh vegetables, herbs, and all the things into a blender, puree it, and then let that marinate, but there's really no need to do that if you are using the stovetop method, just because they are going to cook down. They will melt out into the pot, so there is no need to do that. But if you head to the blog, there is instructions on how to make this recipe in the slow cooker, in the pressure cooker or instant pot if you have one, as well as in the oven. So the oven method is very hands-on, just like the hands-off, just like the slow cooker method. You literally just do the exact same things that I'm doing here, and then you put it into the slow cooker or the oven, an oven safe dish in the oven, and then you let it go low and slow, and you leave it undisturbed. For the instant pot, you want to, again, brown your meat first and then pressure cook it for about, it depends on if you have an old cow or if you have a fresh new cow. That will determine the amount of time that it takes for your meat to get tender. And then once you pressure cook it, then you can just finish it up in the pressure cooker or the instant pot insert. But today we're doing stove top, so that's low and slow. That's long and slow, or whatever you want to call it. So you can keep the vegetables whole. They will cook out into your dish. When you're adding your browning, don't put too much. So don't kill the dish with browning, or else, number one, it's gonna get black in color, and we don't want that. And then number two, it leaves a bitter taste, or it gives a bitter taste to your dish, and we also don't want that. When your meat looks like this, you're ready to put it in the fridge to let it marinate. So you can cover it with a lid if your dish has a lid. If not, then you can use plastic wrap, and I'll see you soon. I'm going to remove all of the vegetables, all of the seasoning, so you just have your oxtail that looks just like this. And you're going to brown or sear your oxtail to lock in that flavor.
Careful.
I know. This is called skill.
No, this is called food.
No, this is called skill. Now hear the sound. That's the sound you want to hear. Honestly, use tongs. Don't follow me, yeah? Next thing you go burn up yourself and see a seasoned skillet tell you to do it like this. Use gloves. No, use tongs. So you don't want to overcrowd your pot, but I know my first time I do this. Me's a professional, yeah? If it's your first time, you're just working little batches until all your meat is browned and seared. Or you can just do as I did, or don't do as I do as I say. As long as your meat is brown to lock in that flavor, you're good to go. All right, so now that our meat is nicely browned and the flavor is locked in, we're gonna add in all of our veggies, the Scotch bonnet pepper, all the things that were in our bowl that the meat was marinating in. And we're also going to add in some hot water. Make sure it is hot water, not cold water, not lukewarm water. Just keep filling up your kettle. And then that's what you're going to use continuously in your pot until your meat is tender. And you always want to make sure there's enough water to cover your meat. And then this is what you're just gonna leave it. Let it simmer low, long, and slow. Rinse out the bowl. Rinse out your bowl with the hot water and then add it to your pot, just like so. And as I said, enough water to cover all your meat and all your veggies. This is exactly how we want our pot to be. We're going to let this go on and do its thing for however long it may take, just until your meat is tender and fall off the bone. So whenever your water reduces and then it's starting to like fry, you don't want that. Add in more hot water, let it cook down, add in more hot water, let it cook down until your meat is tender and fall off the bone. I can't stress that enough. No matter how long it takes. So this is not a recipe that you're gonna say, you're gonna come home from work on a Wednesday evening and say, oh, let me make oxtail and it's 6 p.m. and the kids need to go down for bed and you're hungry and whoever else is hungry. This is something that takes a bit of time, unless you have an Instant Pot or a slow cooker and you've left it on the slow cooker while you went to work and did your thing. This is a recipe that takes time and patience and love. So definitely just let it do its thing. And then I'll come back when it's time to add in the butter beans and the ketchup, which are the only two ingredients that you really need to add to this. I know some people re-season and season up your dish, but if you season it well in the beginning, honestly, you don't need to season it again. Maybe it's just for salt, but besides that, you should be good to go. So I'll let this do its thing and I'll be back soon. Our meat is now tender and melting away from the bone, so we're gonna go with our butter beans and our ketchup. So when your pot looks like this, where you're not quite at rich, thick gravy, but your liquid has reduced, that's when you wanna add in your beans and your ketchup. This is what we call the home stretch. We're almost there. We've reached our final destination. Our oxtail is tender and falling off the bone, which is exactly what we want. It's a flavorful, it's a hearty dish. You can serve it with rice and peas. There's a recipe on the blog. You can serve it with gungo peas and rice. There's a recipe on the blog. You can serve it with pumpkin rice. There's a recipe on the blog. You can serve it with honestly anything that you like. There's also an oxtail pizza recipe on the blog and oxtail patties on the blog. So head to the blog to see how you can repurpose this meal, how you can enjoy this meal, what serving options you have. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If not, something wrong with you, is not me, is you. Before you go, I wanted to say thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing to my channel, because I know you've done that already. Thank you for liking this video and thank you for sharing it with your family and friends. I truly appreciate it. If you want to leave a comment down below. I will respond. Let's build this community. Let's make it happen in 2024. I wish you all the best. If you have any questions about making oxtail or any of my recipes, leave a comment or send me an email. There's so many avenues that you can reach out to me. I'm also on all the various social media platforms on Instagram at theseasoned.skillet, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Pinterest, all the things. So I hope to see you around soon, and have a great night, afternoon, or evening wherever you are watching. Much love to you. If you are new, my food, what am I? Hurt me. Recipe is actually very simple. If I keep saying actually, I'm gonna be so pissed off. So I'm gonna start from the top. Sirloin. That's what I call it. It is called, it's a swinging. It's the freaking tail of the cow. The tail is just swinging. So, you know, swinging sirloin. You get it? See, I'm not a naturally ashy person like my husband. He's so ashy. So I really have this for him.
Fake news.
I really have this for him, but no, honestly, get you one of these.